Hello, I'm Alex, and today I'll be talking a little bit about pain. Pain is something that everyone has experience with at varying levels. When you first think of pain, you think of an injury such as a cut, a broken bone, or a pulled muscle. This is because pain serves a function for us. It makes us aware of tissue damage. By alerting us to the damage, it allows us to prevent further damage, so it works as a sort of alarm system to help protect our bodies. That is important to remember when we ask ourselves why something hurts us, and hope the pain would just go away. If pain was never present, we would be putting ourselves in constant danger. Another critical point surrounding the discussion of pain is that it is a complex, subjective, and contextual experience. For one, although pain is representative of current or potential tissue damage, it is not directly proportional to the amount of damage. For example, if you got a paper cut right now, you may experience a great deal of pain. However, a football player may break a bone in-game and not even realize it or feel much pain at all. This highlights how the person, the environment, and the situation can greatly affect the experience. It is a completely personalized experience that varies from person to person, and even within the same person as other factors are changed. Think about how people also refer to pain in an emotional sense. This is very appropriate because emotions and thoughts are a critical part of processes in your brain that integrate everything about your current state and dictate what you are feeling at a given time. If you are happy and focused on something you like, your low back pain may feel better than it does when you are stuck inside, struggling to finish an assignment on a beautiful day. The signals coming from your body are not necessarily different, but the full picture that your brain is painting of your awareness has been altered. It's not just emotions and thoughts that alter the perception of pain, but also knowledge. It has been shown that understanding the physiology and mechanisms that lead to pain can actually change the way you think about it, reduce the perceived threat, and make it even more manageable. This is similar to how you may be more worried about an unexplained ache deep in your stomach than the pain from a bruise on your hand. The fact that you can attribute the pain to something and understand where it is coming from actually diminishes the pain you experience. With this in mind, let's briefly go over some of the science behind pain. There are sensors all over your body that respond to different stimulation. Some detect mechanical changes like pressure, others detect temperature, and some respond to the presence of different chemicals. When there is a specific stimulation, these sensors open up the membrane of a neuron, the cells that make up your nervous system and ultimately lead to and from your brain. At this point, charged particles are able to flow through this opening in the cell, and if the stimulus is large enough, the neuron will be activated and send an electrical impulse towards your spinal cord. Once in the spinal cord, the impulse causes the release of chemicals at the end of the neuron. These chemicals then cause other neurons to fire so that the signal can continue up towards your brain. These chemicals can also influence the other neurons around it in a way that affects their ability to fire in the future. Maybe it makes it harder for them to fire, or maybe it makes them even more sensitive to stimulation, so that they fire more easily than they normally would. In fact, similar chemicals can also come down from the brain and have the same effect. The important point here is that even from a strictly physical perspective, the messengers that bring these signals up to your brain are highly modifiable and also adaptable. The signals themselves are not actual pain, they are just a message of potential danger being sent to the brain. The brain takes all information, dangerous and not dangerous, and uses this to build a sensible story, or a representation of all the inputs, which is what you feel. The brain may choose to focus on certain information or ignore other information. In the case of chronic pain or persistent pain, it may be difficult to see a benefit. The important thing to remember is that the brain has concluded subconsciously that there is still a threat or danger, so we have to find out why. We've already talked about how the nervous system is highly modifiable, but there are also other long-term processes that we haven't discussed. For example, when neurons sending signals of danger are active, it may cause other neurons, which were not responsible for sending dangerous signals, to move closer to them and influence them. This could result in something like a small change in temperature being perceived as painful when it shouldn't be. In this and other cases, the brain may not even be receiving the most accurate information about the state of the body to begin with, as the signal has been distorted before it gets there. There's also a phenomenon called smudging, where the areas of your brain devoted to a specific body part or action start to overlap. Through this and other mechanisms, it becomes possible for pain to persist and the alarm system to be overly sensitive even if the tissue damage that originally caused the pain has healed. An often used analogy for pain is that of a song played by an orchestra, the orchestra being your brain. As it plays the song over and over again, it becomes easier to play, to the point that the brain may forget how to play other, non-painful songs. So how do we solve this problem? Well, there are multiple tools we can use. First is education and understanding of the involved processes, as we already discussed, as well as the idea that pain doesn't necessarily mean damage. Another is the concept of pacing and graded exposure. Here, you patiently take yourself through a planned progression of movement starting from a non-painful baseline. Another idea is of accessing what you can call a virtual body. If you imagine some movements without actually doing them, you may be able to activate the motor control parts of your brain without the associated pain and allow you to separate the two. It may be helpful then to try the movement in different positions, different environments, and under different emotional states. I hope this information has been helpful, and thanks for listening.